Hello, guys. Welcome to another fabulous episode on Barbie's Diary. My name is Barbara Omodudu, and as usual, I film about family, career, lifestyle, and all things relocation, settling in a new city. My family and I relocated to Canada last year, and since then, I have been filming content on relocation and how to settle in Canada. If you know this is not the kind of content you want to watch, please don't leave. We still have content that are not related to relocation and settling in. I also film content on lifestyle, on family. There's something for everyone on this channel. If you're new to the channel, please do well to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button to this video. Leave a comment so I know that you are new on the channel, and please join our growing family. This is one video that has taken me so long to record, and I am happy that I have decided today to sit down here and discuss everything about the job market in Canada, at least from my experience. So I'm going to try as much as possible to not leave out any detail concerning my job search and how I got my new job in Canada. Please do well to watch this video in bits if that is what you want to do, but ensure that you get to the end of the video. If there's going to be a second part, please do well to call back and watch the second part. Okay, all right, so without much ado, let's jump right in. Welcome back, guys. I hope you already have your cup of water, a juice perhaps, or anything, your popcorn, because this is going to be very juicy and detailed. So I'm going to start from the very beginning. And interestingly, my job search in Canada did not start in Canada. Immediately we got our visa to travel, I started seeking out opportunities on how to get a job in Canada. What I did, and I think I have vlogged about it before, I'll put the link in the description box. What I did at first was to register for pre-arrival services. Some of these pre-arrival services included services on how to help you, settle in Canada, how to get a job in Canada, how to get a rental property in Canada. I've spoken about it, so I'm not going to dwell so much on it. So I joined pre-arrival services. I opened a profile on the job bank, and I started working towards getting a job in Canada. I was assigned to an employment consultant. So that person was supposed to help me, review my CV, give me leadings on jobs, review my LinkedIn profile and everything about getting a job. And guys, I was serious about it. Interestingly, I started that program in June of last year. And so I was reviewing my CV with the person. I had to bring it up to Canadian standard, which is a 2-page CV. And then, of course, the details on CV had to also reflect that I am a permanent resident in Canada and that I was going to arrive in Canada, I think, in October. All of this I was doing just to give myself more chances in the job market. I understood that job market was saturated, and I honestly and truthfully, like everybody, wanted to get a job even before I came into Canada. So I was doing everything that I humanly could do. I had to also work on my LinkedIn profile. Even though I was operating LinkedIn before this time, I had to up the ante and put in, some really detailed job description. And then, of course, we worked on Canadian culture. I had a number of courses as well that I had to take that taught me a lot about the Canadian work culture. It was a really challenging time for me because I had to combine that with my day-to-day work, my 9 to 5, and also every other thing I was doing at the time. I was also doing YouTube at the time, so it was a lot of things at the same time. But the end goal was to hit the ground running immediately I get to Canada. So I also found out how to use the job scan. The job scan is just like it is a scan. It compares your CV to the employer's application for that job and then rates it percentage-wise over 100. So the best percentage, or you should be aiming for a percentage of 70 or above. And guys, before we came to Canada, no one called me. Not even one employer called me. Not even one employer reached out to me. That was disappointing. I'm not going to lie. But because, my husband and I have also had a discussion, and we've told ourselves that we're not going to be under pressure to get a job. If we are able to, spend at least a month to get used to the environment, do all the initial settling in stuff, and then start applying. We'll just take that 1 month as our leave period. But it was worrisome to me that I had put in all of this effort. Nobody says guaranteed that if you do this, you get a job. But it is expected that if you do all you're supposed to do and you turn in a good CV and cover letter, you get a good job. I came to Canada first couple of weeks. I was not so focused on that. I was focused on getting my SIN, getting all the initial settling in stuff. I attended a lot of career fairs as well during the course of this wait time. And yes, I reached out to the pre-arrival services people to let them know that, I am now in Canada. And so, it should be better. It should be easier to get referrals right now that I'm in Canada. And so nothing was happening. So I think at the 3rd week mark, an employer reached out for an interview, and I was so elated, guys. I went through the job advert. Everything looked like what I could do. It fell into what I have been doing before. And so it felt like this is it. The pay was also good at the time. So I was giving the interview questions ahead of time. So that worked well for me. I was like, is this how they do it here? So that was so good. I studied the questions. I wrote down my answers. I replayed my answers in my head 101 times. I became familiar with every question. I think there were about 14 questions, but they were going to ask me at least 12, something along those lines. And on the day of the interview, there were 2 ladies, the team lead I was going to be working with, and then I think a director. Yeah. So, interview went well. I answered all the questions great, to the best of my knowledge, and they were impressed. And they said they were going to get back to me by Friday. And they were going to get back to everybody, irrespective of whether you are the chosen candidate or not. And so they got back to me on Friday saying that, I'm sorry, you were not chosen for the job. I just felt sad about it. I had to reach out to the lady to say, thank you so much, even though it was not what I was expecting, but thank you for the opportunity to interview with your beautiful team and all the many things we have to say. So I said all of that, and I just said, just as an aside, I'll be grateful to know the areas I didn't do better, so that I can improve for in case an opportunity opens up in your company next time. She was nice. She responded and said, Barbara, no, you did a great job at the interview. It was just that the person we took had some level of Canadian experience. So the person had prior work experience in Canada, something along those lines. And that was the first time the unique Canadian experience hit me hard. And I'm like, no way. Guys, I know this is like, Barbara, you're confusing us. You said it before that you don't need Canadian experience. Like I've said, you can, there are some jobs you can do that you don't need that. If you're going to work as a cleaner, or work as a cashier, or work as a front desk, you might not require Canadian experience. If you're going to do base level job, you might not require, but this was not a base level job. So that was the first time Canadian experience hit me hard, and I'm like, this is not a good feeling. So I said thank you, and then I went on with my life, and I kept on sending out application. I think the next application that came in, the next job opportunity that came in for me was a fraudulent one. So I got this very enticing email. Those guys, they worried me for a bit. Before I had to tell them off, I'm like, I'm not interested in this job. You guys should leave me. It was a fraudulent one. I think the first day we had the conversation, that's when it hit me that these guys are not genuine. I did not apply to that particular company. And then I went to search them on LinkedIn, and there was no trace of that kind of company on LinkedIn. I think I still gave them the benefit of doubt, and I spoke to somebody, and everything just looked shady. And that's when I knew that these guys are fraud. These guys are fraudulent. These guys want to mess with me. And I just said, you know what? I'm not doing this. It now dawned on me that the maths is not matching again. What's happening? Why am I not getting jobs? So I reached out to the employment consultant. I think there was a second one that kept on sending me, links, but all of those links did not materialize. They were career fairs, they'll send me emails saying, oh, this bank, this office, very notable corporate offices in Canada were recruiting, and they'll send me career fairs. Oh, they'll be at this career fair, you should attend. Thankfully, most of them were virtual. I think I attended like 2 or 3, and I would have the opportunity to speak with different employers, and I'll pitch myself, or they will tell me they're looking for this role, which do you fit in? I'll pitch, send my CV, do all of that, and they never go back to me. So all of that, at some point, I stopped attending those stuff. So it was getting frustrating. And at this point, I want to say you have to be careful what you pray for, because when I was in Nigeria, I was telling God that I wanted a work from home job, like a job that I wanted to work, right? But then it has to be something from the house so that I'll be able to take care of the kids while my husband does the heavy lifting. I was applying to different companies, both private companies, both governmental organizations, and nobody was coming through. I opened a profile on one of the government sites, and when I did that, I let them know the kind of jobs I was looking for and the type of jobs that would fit what I have done in the past, so the experience I have in the past. So the site was automatically sending me those kind of jobs, and I will apply. Guys, to apply for a job in Canada is not as simple as ABC. So you have to study the application intensely, and then you have to have a targeted resume that suits that application. So if they say it's 2 years experience they want this, they want that, you have to ensure that the keywords are in your own CV that you have made. Now, you're not going to stop there. You're also going to create a cover letter that is going to go alongside. You think you have a very fine CV drafted, and then you put that on the job scan page. You compare it with the advertisement that's been put out, and then you find out that it doesn't match. Job scan is good because of all the artificial intelligence that is used to scan your CV. It's called, I think, ATS, automated tracking system. So that's an automated tracking system. So that is used to scan out CVs that do not meet the requirement. So for an application, they may get like 1,000 CVs, but the ATS will be able to streamline those CVs to CVs that match exactly what they're looking for. And that's usually in the range of 70 to 100% of what they're looking for. So that is why job scan is good, to help you to get to that point where your CV will not even be scanned away. And sometimes you can be on one application for at least 3 to 4 hours. I'm not exaggerating. I was doing this and it was frustrating. I can't even lie. It was frustrating. And the good jobs were not coming. So I felt really deflated. And so I started to panic. So what I did was I started to look for minimum wage jobs. So I was looking for jobs in retail stores, easy peasy customer service jobs that I could do from the house. And that was how I, met my first employer in Canada. And I went through all the stages and I got a job. Luckily for me, the job was not a minimum wage job. It was fairly above minimum wage. And so I was going to be working from home, and it just made sense. Like I said, I had created a profile on government sites, and I have been turning in applications. And by the grace of God, in November was the first time I received, a government invitation for an interview. And so I was so happy. It felt like, okay, good. Because in my head, I just felt like all I needed was an opportunity to showcase what I could do, and then these people will be hooked and I'll get the job. But not even getting that opportunity just felt like I did not have prospect to get my foot in the door. Because I was sending a lot of applications. So on my computer, I had, the list of CVs I had sent. I had labeled them well so that I would remember. When anybody calls me back, I'll be able to go back to see the CV I had sent and the cover letter, just so that I could, be sure of what I have sent, and of course, be prepared for what is to come. The interview went well. I believe the panel was happy. I think there were three of them. Yeah, there were three of them, and they were all satisfied with what I had, put forward, or so I thought. And then after the interview, they told me they were going to send me, I think on another day, they were going to send me the exam question, so like a test kind of thing. They gave me 3 hours to work on that test and submit. So I sent that in to them. I was waiting for a good news. I waited all through November. Nothing was happening. And then I think at the end of November, they reached out again saying I need to see the director. So I just felt like, oh, this was a good progress. So I met with the director. Very chill interview. Those kind of questions, I just felt like they want to give you the job, but they just want to be sure that you have interpersonal skills. They just wanted to check those soft skill parts of the job, right? Recall that at this time I had started a work from home job, and that was also going well. I was in my training phase. The first training was to last 5 weeks. And so in my head, I was like, okay, before I am done with this training, these guys would have finished their selection, and I'll easily just, move from here to the new job. So move from this work from home job to this new job. And it just felt like a perfect plan. So everything was going on well. My husband had started working as well. The kids were in daycare. Everything was good. Life was good. It felt like, oh, this December was just going to be a really good one. I would have gotten a good job. Perhaps in January, I'll be starting a new job with the government, and life would just, be easy. Mid-December, towards Christmas time, I knew offices were shutting down, and I felt like these guys have not reached out. So I reached out to one of the panelists, and I told her, and I reached out to her on via email, and I asked to know the status of that particular interview, that particular application. And she reached out and said, "Oh, Barbara, thanks for reaching out. I'm so sorry for the delay because of the holiday season. I think we should look at concluding this in January." I was still working anyway. I was earning money. And so January came. They did not reach out. I think I reached out to them again at the end of January or early February. And this time, blank. Nobody responded. Nobody said nothing. Another thing was that in December, I had gotten another interview. I did really well for that one, and I was hopeful as well. So I had 2 government work I was banking on that, okay, either or something will come out of it. At this time, I had finished training, and I had to start. I had gone into work proper. I was thrown into the wild. It was a customer-facing job, so I had to deal with customers, and they were not the nicest of people. I need to put this in context. If a customer is calling you at first, most of them, they are not calling you because they have nice things to say. It's because they are going through an issue with a product that your company is offering them. And so most times when they are calling you with so much anger, so much vile, so much frustration, and they will literally take it out on you. I need to throw it in there that my work time also changed. During training, I was working from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Recall that this was winter and we did not have a car at that time. So we had to wake up early to get the kids ready. My husband work resumes at 8. But because we did not have a car, he had to leave early so he could meet up with the boss and get to the office before 8 a.m. I was resuming 7 a.m. And so we would get the kids ready. Luckily for us, my kids' school, the opening time was 6:30. So anytime from 6:30, you can drop off the kids and you'll be fine. 6:30 a.m. So we would ensure that we quickly finish dressing the kids up. I would dress up as well and take them to the junction. So I'll go with my husband because it's snowing, right? He will hold one child, I'll hold the other child, and then then they were not going with backpacks, they were not going with their food because they were eating lunch from school. So we'll just go with them with winter jackets, all the many boots and everything, and I would walk with them to the junction, to the bus stop where they would take the bus. So my husband would first take them to the school. Luckily for him as well, the bus would drop literally in front of the school or at the back of the school. So he would just walk, into the school, drop them off, and head to work. All of this we have to do before 7 a.m. because I need to rush back to the house and set up for work. Yes, guys, it was a trying time in our lives because, gosh, my husband really, even the kids, everybody literally had to come correct. So I would close at 3:30 p.m. and I would, because the day at that time used to be dark early, so I would have to get to the school before 4 p.m. just so that I can pick them, because the day gets dark around 4 p.m. ish because it's winter, right? So I try as much as possible. Maybe I finish my work that day, I am heading out to pick the kids from school. I bring them back home in the snow, wait for the bus, bring them back home, and then I would have to feed them, change their clothes, put them to bed, do all of that before my husband will come back. I think he usually comes back around past 9, to 10, sometimes past 9 to 10. So he will come back around that time. Then we'll just try and put things again, prepare things again for the next day. So we're doing this routine every day, 5 days a week, because I was working Monday to Friday as well. So we're doing this routine 5 days a week until we could not cope in December and we had to get a car. So when we got a car, of course things changed. I did not have to follow them to the bus stop anymore, and then we could even sleep for a few more hours or few more minutes because now there was a car and he didn't have to wait for bus or miss the bus, or the kids did not have to walk in snow. So our life literally took a different turn, and that was why I shot that videos on the struggle of a new immigrant. If you've not watched that video, please go and watch that video. In February, my schedule had changed. My office had now given me a new schedule. I was now working 12:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. at night. What that meant was that I could not afford to go pick the children again because the daycare closed at 6. My husband now had to re-strategize, so he did so well, and I must really thank him. God bless you, baby. So then he would use his lunch break. He would take his lunch break really late and use his lunch break to come and pick the kids. The kids were closer to me here, right? But he would come all the way from downtown, about 30 minutes drive or 20-something minutes drive. He would pick the kids up from the school and bring them back home for me, leave them at the door, and rush back to the office. So luckily for him, he had a 2-hour lunch break. My lunch break was ridiculously for 30 minutes. I don't know, guys. So during that lunch break, I would quickly give them food to eat and then give them maybe their tabs or turn on the TV for them to have screen time while I go back to work. I'll come to just peep and be sure that they are good and go back. And it was just a crazy time, guys. This is not to put fear in anybody's body. Let's put that out there. I'm just sharing with you my experience in the job market. Another thing was that I was working weekends. So recall that during training I was not working weekends, but now with this work I was working Saturdays and Sundays. My off days were weekdays. So it meant that weekends, when everybody is home with family, I'll be rushing off to close my door so that I would be at work for 8 hours, 9 hours. The kids, during the weekend when they're at home, I do not see them. Monday to Friday, they are in school. The days that are my off days, which are weekdays, there's nobody to talk to. It just felt like I was alone in my world. It was always dark because I was not stepping out. I was not seeing the sunlight. Whenever it's still, bright outside, I'm at work. By the time I'm closing work, everywhere is dark. So it just felt like the only thing I was seeing was darkness. I was not leaving my house. Sometimes, in fact, I recall there was a time I was in this house. I'm not saying come outside to go and do anything. I was in this house for 3 weeks. I did not go anywhere. It was just my room where I had my office and the kitchen, like that. So I did not, and I was losing it. I was losing. Recall that in all of this thing, I had to shoot videos and smile for you guys. I had to beg you guys to subscribe because I was trying to hit 1,000 subscribers and also, build my channel. I also had to deal with my wait time for the jobs I was waiting for. I just felt like I was screaming and nobody was hearing me. That was exactly how it felt. So it was so bad that weekends when the kids are at home and when they see that I'm setting up for work, they will come and hide under the table and be like, "Mommy, please don't work today. Mommy, please, we just need to be with you." Because I was literally done with my kids. In March, I would never forget, on the 8th of March 2023, that is International Women's Day, was the day these guys reached out to let me know that I was